So I am going to go over page 40, the arc length portion of page 40. But if you don't have the packet, that's fine. You'll just be drawing along with me. So somewhere in your packet earlier or in the notes, we went over this formula. Area of a sector. That's what we've been doing the last few days. So area of a sector was finding out how much square area, two-dimensional area, something like that would take up. Where arc length is a little bit different. The new thing we're going to talk about, arc length, the same picture. Let's say that same thing existed, but we're trying to find how far it is from here around to here. We're trying to find out how long that bent arc is. So it's like part of a circumference. This is part of an area. This is part of a circumference. So if you just look at the formulas like this, area of a circle equals pi r squared, right? So area is the entire circle. We haven't talked about this much this year, but circumference equals pi times diameter. Circumference is really another way to say perimeter of a circle, or how long it is all the way around here. So if I was talking about just part of the area, then we multiply by the angle measure over 360. If I'm talking about just part of the arc, then you multiply by angle measure over 360. So it's just old formulas like area, now times a fraction. Old formulas like circumference, now times a fraction. So arc length, that's what we're talking about in this video. So we're not focused on that. That was the last few days. So what do we have here? Length of an arc. So go ahead and draw this circle if you haven't yet. You got a pretty big 135-degree arc out here. It wants us to know wants to find out the length of the arc. What that means is from here around to here. How long is that? So we know it's going to be the length of the arc is the angle over 360 times whatever pi d is. Now, what's the diameter? Well, if the radius is 3, the diameter would be 6. Pi d is different than pi r squared. Pi d is pi times what would be the whole diameter of 6. So I'm going to fire up the calculator here. There it is. So it was 135 over 360. Then you multiply that by pi d. So it looks like that. And the length of that arc, we'll round off to the nearest tenth, is 7.1. Now another way to type that would be using alpha y equals, so I'll show you that quickly too. If you want to go to alpha y equals and then pick the first n over d, then you can do 135 over 360 and have a fraction like that, move over to the right, and then just go pi times diameter. So you can also do it that way. Totally up to you. Either way is totally fine. It's going to be 7.1 units. Okay. So now the video is going to ask you a little question, and then you'll move on to the next one. Okay, number 8. We have, we're going to draw this thing, right? And it's almost a semicircle, or it's almost half the circle, but it's not quite because it looks a little bit off-centered, and you can tell it's not 180 degrees, which would be perfectly half. It's 160 degrees. So when they're talking about arc length, they're asking you to find how far is it from there to there. So remember, the formula is angle over 360 times pi times diameter. And diameter in this case is 8. Be careful, it's not 4. All the way across would be 8. So we type that into the calculator. And I have 160 over 360. And then I move over to the right and go pi times, the diameter was 8, remember. So 11.2. Round off to the nearest tenth, 11.2 units. And now the video will ask you another question. Now the last two problems we'll do, I'll start you on number 9, and then you'll do number 10. But you'll do both answers then on the little quiz questions that pop up. So on number 9, you're going to draw this circle. And it's a major arc, right? So all the way around here is 225 degrees, more than half the circle. Again, we're talking arc length, so it wants us to find out how far it is all the way around until you get back here, that blue arc. So we know that it's the angle over 360 times pi times the diameter. The diameter isn't 5, the diameter is 10. So you're going to calculate that, and you're going to type it in because the video is going to ask you that question right now. And the last one, number 10, you're going to draw this circle, and you're going to try to find the length of the arc all the way around this red area, or distance there. So that red arc around there. And you know that it's angle over 360 times pi times the diameter. Type that into your calculator and answer it here. And one last little bit here just to sum up what we did all week. We first talked about Monday and Tuesday, area of a sector. And then Wednesday, today, and tomorrow you'll try it if you haven't done it yet, you'll do arc length. So, to sum it up, area of a sector is an entire piece of pizza. The area, the two-dimensional area of that slice of pizza, right? And the formula is what? Where arc length is not area, but the distance from here around to here. So it's like part of the crust of the pizza, part of the circumference. What is that formula? And we'll be live Thursday for help.